Attention please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
We know it's been pouring all day in the Bronx, and Yankee fans in St. Petersburg aren't finding any cover either. But Brett Gardner is, so he has reason to smile. Yes, the Yankees are getting ready to go, and they're all nice and dry inside the Trop. And guess what? Alex Rodriguez is back in the lineup. It's the Yankees against the Rays in the middle game of a 3-game set from Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hey everybody, Ryan Rucco alongside David Cohn. Happy to be with you here on this Saturday afternoon here on Yes. Yankees dropped the opener of this series last night. They've now dropped 2 straight, David, and we've inched a day closer to the trading deadline. So if you're in that Yankee clubhouse, how do you focus on what's between the lines as the rumors continue to swirl?
Well, you know, a lot of times as a professional athlete, you try to trick yourself into believing sometimes things are going to go better than they really are. But in fact, I thought Andrew Miller said it best yesterday. He said, hey, we've been playing better as of late. We're doing what we have to do. Obviously, this is an important weekend. You have to take advantage of the Rays. Today makes that much more important to come back and make a statement to validate the recent good streak that you've had.
We'll take a look at today's pitching matchup. It's brought to you by People's United Bank NA. See what know-how can do for you. Nathan Eovaldi, the numbers not robust, but he has been better of late. And Drew Smyly has really struggled this year. 4th highest ERA in all of baseball at 5.42. But the recent success from Eovaldi and a new development to his repertoire, David.
Well, indeed, we've seen the evolution of Nathan Eovaldi. So talented. I mean, a tremendous arm. The skill set from Eovaldi just is mind-boggling at times why he doesn't win more games. But he's a student of the game. He's working hard. He does have a new cut fastball that he's added to his repertoire. I'd still like to see him get that splitter going again. That's what turned his season around last year. But nonetheless, the last 2 starts have been much better for him.
And Drew Smyly's had a tough year, but he has fared well against the Yankees.
Well, he's a very talented lefty. He still has a high strikeout rate, almost 1 per inning as he goes out there. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. He's kind of given up the long ball this year. The home run has really hurt him. He's on the schneid 7 in a row. He's lost. He's looking to turn that around against the Yankees.
Well, he'll have to face Alex Rodriguez in the lineup for the first time since July 22nd. Our Meredith Marakovitz has more next right here on Yes.
Welcome back to Yankees Baseball on Yes. I'm Meredith Marakovitz. Alex Rodriguez is back in the lineup and batting cleanup. It's the first time he's in the starting lineup since back on July 22nd. He's going to try to add to his career home run total of 696. And if you remember back from last night, he did see a little bit of action, pinch hitting in the ninth, managing a single. Alex Rodriguez's splits against left-handed pitching much better than right-handers this season. Still, his numbers against Drew Smyly not all that good, just 2 for 8 with a double and 6 strikeouts. Joe Girardi spoke about his decision to bat Alex cleanup this evening.
He's one of the guys that has had some decent success off of left-handers for us this year. My job is to put out what I feel is the best lineup every day, and that's what I try to do. I'm not always going to be right where I hit guys. I mean, it's, you know, there is a human element in this, and some days they're going to swing better than others. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult because he's meant a lot, and I know how much pride he has in what he does. It's, you know, it's not a situation that I wanted to have. You know, I mean, I was hoping that he'd be as productive as he was last year, but it's been a struggle, so we've had to deal with it. When I don't play him, I'm questioned. When I play him, I'm questioned. So anyone who wants to, you know, do it can do it next time. And
Alex Rodriguez does like to hit here in St. Petersburg. He has a career 30 home runs here at Tropicana Field. Plenty more to come here on the Yes Network. When we get back, Drew Smyly gets the ball. Ryan Ruocco with the call. He'll be joined by David Cone after the break.
Yes is brought to you in part by the Honda Summer Clearance Event by People's United Bank NA. Thumbs up for quick balance with Touch ID on your mobile phone. And by Heineken, open your world. Well, the rain has finally stopped and the fans filing into Tropicana Field. Yankees and Rays getting ready to play the middle game of a 3-game set. We'll take a look at the Yankees starting lineup. It's presented by Lexus. Familiar top of the order with Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury. Carlos Beltran in right field for the first time since July 22nd, and Alex Rodriguez starting for the first time since that same date. Mark Teixeira, Starlin Castro, Didi Gregorius, and then Chase Headley and Austin Romine round out the Yankee lineup.
Mr. Smyly on the mound, the lefty. Had a tough year this year, Ryan, and those numbers tell a story, although certainly the home runs and the strikeouts kind of stand out there.
Brett Gardner getting ready to go. The Yankees trying to snap their little 2-game skid after having won 10 of 14. Yesterday, The 10th time this year the Yankees have been held without an extra base hit. Gardner had 1 single. And he takes ball 1.
Let's go ahead and run you through the pitcher scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. And yes, tough year, still missing bats. We noticed that he's still a strikeout per inning and coming off a good one, his last one against Oakland. Pretty good start. There's talk about taking him out of the rotation. He's had one of his 2 wins versus New York on April 24th, but he hasn't won since May 16th and has a 7.0 ERA in those starts. So that's some high numbers for a young, talented lefty who still, as we said, has good stuff.
Yeah, David mentioned the win against the Yankees, and in his career, 2-0 with a 1.71 ERA against the Yankees. That's 3 relief appearances and 4 starts. Went 7 innings in that game on April 24th, allowing just 1 run in what was his first victory of the season. Now even on Gardner, 2-2. The pitch. Grounded right back to Smiley. Low throw, but dug up by Pierce. Take a look at the Rays defense presented by Geico. Across the outfield, Corey Dickerson in left, Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza Jr. In the infield, Evan Longoria at third. Tim Beckham gets the start at shortstop. Logan Forsythe at second. Steve Pierce is the first baseman. Kirk Casale behind the plate today to catch Drew Smiley. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. 1 hit in the opener of this series and looks at strike 1. David mentioned the strikeouts from Smiley. He's 8th in the majors in strikeouts per 9 innings. So much like Michael Pineda, one of those guys who has some of those numbers that stand out more today when it comes to strikeouts and walks, but the ERA not there, nor the wins and losses.
Yeah, kind of an all or nothing year for Drew Smiley. Cruising along, looking very good, and then big home runs. The long ball really hurt him this year, as we noted in his stats. Those 21 homers are a very high rate for him.
Ellsbury fights that off foul. Another important game for the Yankees as they continue to try and climb up the wild card standings and into this playoff race, and also perhaps give more clarity for what the path should be before Monday's trading deadline. It's popped off of third. Longoria over and watches it hit the top of the dugout. Here's the 1-2. Ellsbury flips that foul, staying alive. Oh, and a nice grab down there. Yeah, you could celebrate it. And celebrate it he will. He is indeed the athlete. If you bring your glove, you want to get rewarded with a moment like that.
Still got his game face on.
Ellsbury skies that to left. Over is Dickerson and foul ground to make the catch. Take a look at the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. That is a live shot. Fans still filing in. I'm sure a lot of them had to wait in their cars while it downpoured for a couple of hours. But now, as you can see, it has subsided, and it's always dry under the dome. Here's Carlos Beltran getting the start in right field.
We talked about an important series for the Yankees and trade deadline, all the implications, but this was always an important series, especially with the late George Steinbrenner. This is his hometown, always wanted to beat the Rays. Many a times I saw him, Ryan, walking through the clubhouse before games like this against the Rays and trying to pump up the troops. He did not like to lose to his hometown Rays.
And you would send him right to O'Neill's locker, right?
I would try. I would stir it up. I was one of those.
Paul just loves that.
Yeah, George, he just wanted to be part of the guys. You know, he wanted to be in the meetings.
Beltran easy into center for Kiermaier. A 1-2-3 inning, but an unforgettable frame thanks to the athlete. That's right. Says it on the back of his jersey, and he shows it off with his glove. Celebrate. You deserve it. Brad Miller DHs, bats second. Evan Longoria in the 3 spot. Corey Dickerson also went yard last night. He bats fourth, followed by Steve Pearce, Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza Jr., Tim Beckham getting the start along with Kurt Casale.
Nathan Eovaldi finishing up his warm-ups. On the year, there are a couple of relief appearances in there, and they were good ones, and that kind of got him back on track. And 19 home runs is a little high in the one category there. And let's go ahead and give you the scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. And as we said, better as of late. It's been a mixed bag, kind of a cyclone year for Eovaldi, very streaky. But his last 2 starts since that stint in the bullpen have been very good, still evolving. And the evolution leads us to that new cutter that Larry Rothschild's worked on, a tweak on the grip with Eovaldi, and it was very, very effective in his last couple of starts.
Eovaldi saying that it's gotten hitters off of his fastball. Joe Girardi saying it's helped him miss the barrels of right-handed bats. The 0-1 to Forsythe. 0-2.
It's a little bit easier pitch to control. You know, you just think fastball. You tweak the grip off of your four-seamer or off of your slider, and you just keep your wrist position in the same way you would throw a fastball, and it's much easier to control off of that grip as opposed to trying to snap your wrist and generate spin on a slider.
The 0-2. Lifted to right. Beltran back towards the track, just on it for the first out. Take a look at the Yankees defense presented by Geico in the outfield. Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran. We mentioned his first start in right field since July 22nd. Headley, Gregorius, Castro, Teixeira around the infield. And Austin Romine gets the start behind the plate, catching Nathan Eovaldi. Here's Brad Miller at a double and a triple last night. Well, you mentioned the tweaking of the grip, David, and earlier today Joe Girardi was talking about how literally that is how he maybe acquired the knowledge for this so quickly. Larry Rothschild just had him take his slider grip, adjust it slightly, and get his cutter.
One of the best things a pitcher can do is to think fastball when you tweak your grip a little bit, and then at the last minute there's a little finger manipulation or allowing the grip to work.
That's smashed into center. Ellsbury back, turning, watching, goodbye. Brad Miller has gone yard, and Nathan Eovaldi serves up the 20th home run he surrendered this season.
Brad Miller continues his assault with extra base hits, and you see that pitch is middle away right there, but driven to center field. You don't expect a shortstop to take you deep to dead center.
And the 16 home runs, a new Rays shortstop's record.
And off the bat, it's got that sound, and once you see the back of your center fielder, you know you're in trouble, and that one easily gets out of here. And that pitch was clocked at 99 miles an hour. And Brad Miller, I mean, certainly the pitcher provides a little bit of velocity, and that helps on the exit velocity side coming off of the bat.
Swing and a miss. Blows that by Longoria. It is odd, David. In the last few games, the Yankees have now surrendered a home run to either the first or second batter of the game in 4 of their last 5 games. One of those strange oddities, but
as that guy says all the time, it's not what you want.
Yeah. Here's Corey Dickerson. He also homered in the first last night off of a Von Nova.
In general, with regards to Eovaldi's fastball, it's either get it a little bit lower or a little bit higher, and we saw it last night with Odorizzi, pitching at the top of the strike zone and just above all night and being very effective. No matter how hard you throw, the balls that end up belt high or just a little bit lower, no matter whether they're middle in or middle out, give hitters a better chance to barrel it up.
(2-0). Popped, shallow left. Gardner in, under it, inning over. The Rays get on the board. Nathan Eovaldi serves up the homer. Maybe Alex Rodriguez can respond. We've seen plenty of home runs off his bat throughout the years, including 30 here at the Trop. 696 in his career. He leads off when we come back. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Well, the Yankees with 41 games scoring 2 runs or fewer, including last night, most in the American League, and they're 6-35 in those games. They're 46-15 when they score 3 or more runs. That's the best win percentage in the majors. A remarkable record with just 3 runs. As Alex Rodriguez leads off and looks at ball 1. First start for A-Rod since July 22nd, sitting on 696 home runs. One and two.
You mentioned all the first inning home runs. You're right. You know, Katie Sharp, who's on Twitter and does great work, lets us know that that was the 20th first inning home run allowed by the Yankees this season. Only the Twins and Royals have given up more among all major league teams. So your observation's right on cue.
And Rodriguez goes down swinging.
Top of the zone, you know, this is what we mentioned with Nathan Eovaldi and Odorizzi. You see just above the belt. It's just harder to reach that pitch for major league hitters. It's harder to barrel it up, and then when you barrel it up, you usually pop it up or foul it off more often than you square it up.
Joe Girardi has talked about the recent success of Nathan Eovaldi and Michael Pineda. That's one of the first things he mentions is how they've been elevating the fastball. Here's Mark Teixeira. Had a hit going the other way against the shift last night. An RBI single drove in the Yankees' only run. Now it gets played more straight up from the right side. And smashes that foul. Look out. Into the picnic tables. They needed the athlete there to save them. Oh, but it ends up with the little girl. Yeah, they needed you, buddy. The 2-2. Teixeira drills that deep to left and foul.
A lot of fair territory here at the Trop. A lot of ground to cover in the outfield too. So the bullpen mounds are over there on both sides in foul territory. Outfielders, you have a hard time. You see in the right center gap there. That's a lot of ground to cover. It's one of the reasons why Joe Girardi is reluctant to play Carlos Beltran in right field down here. Not just because of the turf. It's a lot of territory to cover. If you remember, a couple years ago, Beltran took a tumble in right field here.
And Teixeira down looking. Smiley has K'd the first 2 of the second.
So Smiley's probably his best secondary pitch. Slurvy curveball. Takes a little bit off of it and good depth to it. Clearly a strike as Teixeira was fooled.
Well, David, you mentioned that moment with Beltran, his first year with the Yankees. He was hitting great until that moment, and that's what really derailed his first season with the Bombers.
He hit the side wall over there at full speed and took one of the nastiest tumbles you'll ever see.
Castro hard, but right to Beckham. Inning over. Smiley has retired the first 6. To the bottom of the second we go.
Morakovitz, and it's time for tonight's injury report brought to you by Montefiore, doing more in state-of-the-art healthcare. Greg Bird, who had surgery to repair a torn labrum back on February 2nd, is expected to start swinging come Monday. He's making progress from that injury. If you remember back to the 2015 season, he made an impact at the end of the year, filling in at first base, a .261 average, 11 home runs. Joe Girardi told me the other day that this is a guy that he thinks is really going to play into their plans in the future, and Greg Bird told me it has just been a brutal season not being able to get back out on the field, but he is optimistic right now. He also said he thinks he's going to play in Arizona just to get some strength in that shoulder, swing a little bit more, and really gauge where he's at heading into spring training. And guys, I know you were at the ballpark today. Another familiar face here, not only Greg Bird, but also Brian Mitchell, who threw a rain-shortened simulated game today, the second simulated game he has thrown since he had surgery to repair a broken toe. He is expected to start a rehab assignment as early as next week, so another guy that can provide some distance and another option for Joe Girardi in that bullpen. We can see him maybe in September.
Yeah, Meredith, did Brian Mitchell feel like he has a chance to be back this year?
He thinks so. Joe Girardi said that the rehab for that is going as well as could be expected, even better than can be expected. And Brian Mitchell told me that he hasn't felt anything in that foot since he had the surgery. It's more about now kind of going through a throwing program. It's almost like he's starting spring training, and he's a reliever, so he doesn't need to be all the way stretched out. He just needs to be able to go back-to-back days, and Joe Girardi can even ease him in, but they want to make sure the location is there and he is healthy before they get him back up here, the big league club. But guys, we remember back to spring training, he played such a big role potentially in this season. He threw the ball extremely well, so could be another option. Could be interesting to see him back out there on a big league mound.
No, it's very true. Thank you, Meredith. Brian Mitchell, the end of last year, we had heard Joe Girardi for a long time, David, talk about his arm and glow about his arm, but we started to see those results on a major league mound at the end of last season.
Yeah, and he was probably the best pitcher in spring training. He actually was vying for the 5th spot in the rotation as well, so I wouldn't rule him out as a future starter.
And as far as Greg Bird goes, we saw his value at the end of last year, and then you consider what Mark Teixeira's had to deal with this season, injury-wise, performance-wise. No doubt he could have played a big role on this team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the rate of production that Greg Bird displayed last year, I mean, it was top shelf, and even though a small sample size, but a lot of reason for hope and optimism with his left-handed swing in Yankee Stadium.
2-2 on Pierce. Steve Pierce has been a name that, according to some reports, it's more a matter of when than if he will be dealt by Tampa Bay, but he has been very vocal about wanting to stay. He's from Lakeland, nearby. And although he's a free agent, would like to stay beyond this year. Castro backs up to pick the hop and just beats Pierce for the first out of the second. You know, David, this is a bigger Trop crowd than normal. And some of that is the Yankees, and some of that is Hunter Hayes, country music artist, is going to be performing after the game today. Yeah, see, they're jazzed up for it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to fill up in a hurry here, and pretty close to a sellout before it's all said and done. Venture to say one of the bigger crowds that they've seen down here all summer.
I think that's safe to say. Here's the 0-1 to Kiermaier.
I don't think it's any secret, you know, that Tropicana Field has seen better days, and they're looking for a new venue down here. And that is the answer to this franchise, staying in this area, is being able to go outside of St. Pete, maybe even over into the Tampa Bay area and find a spot for a new venue. And they've been trying for years, but it is the most important issue facing the future of this franchise.
The 1-2. Well, we have seen, in case we needed more proof, from the rain the last couple of days, you need the roof option. Maybe it's retractable, but you need that option here in Florida.
The new commissioner, Rob Manfred, has talked about solving these two issues, the Tampa Bay venue issue and the Oakland A's and their venue issue out there in the Bay Area. And once that's done, there's even talk about expansion, maybe even expanding again, as the game and the business of baseball has done so well.
Here's the payoff. Hammered, diving stop by Castro. That was beautiful for the out.
Well, on the button, but against the shift. And for about 75 years or so, that's a base hit to right field, but not anymore. And shift or no shift, that's an outstanding play from Castro.
A full body length dive, hanging with a high hop too on a hard hit ball. Here's Steven Souza Jr. Now the homer that Eovaldi allowed in the first, he hadn't allowed any over his previous 5 appearances when he started to find it, first in the pen and then his last 2 starts. But that has been a problem for him this year. 20, a career high, his previous career high, 14 allowed.
Yeah, generally been pretty good at limiting home run damage, but you're right, Ryan. This year he's certainly been well above his normal average.
Well, because he always gives up hits, David. We've seen that. I mean, he always gives up far more than a hit per inning, no matter what season it's been. But in general, his home run numbers are really strong. For whatever reason, that has not been the case this year. Settling down here, though, in the second. A 2-2 outside.
You can see that Nathan Eovaldi's thrown several of those cutters. That one right there, sailing, taking off, but all in the mid-90s, 93 to 95 on cut fastballs, and upper 90s with your four-seamer.
Here's the payoff. High drive, left field. Gardner comes racing in. It hit the catwalk, and Gregorius will catch it for the out. Didi Gregorius catches it off the catwalk, and Steven Souza Jr. is just as confused as most of us. Didi saw it. I don't know if anybody else did. To the third we go. second inning, you see the catwalks around the Tropicana Dome, and there are 4 of them. Now, the one that came into play on this last at-bat was number 2 there. Any fair ball that hits the top 2 catwalks, lights or objects, is in play. Well, that pop-up from Steven Souza Jr., that fly ball, hit that second highest catwalk, which is in play. And so Didi Gregorius somehow played it through, tracked it off the catwalk, and then made the catch in shallow left center field. Nobody was even looking at Didi, including Steven Souza Jr., and all of a sudden he was standing at second base like, wait, what? What happened? And here was Souza Jr. saying, what do you mean? And of course, whenever you catch a ball off the catwalk, you lead off the next inning.
Yeah, off the B ring catwalk, and it is in play. And if Didi does not hustle and make an incredible play on that, that hits the ground. That's a double, at least.
Saw Gardner all of a sudden start racing in. And just a tremendous play by Gregorius on one of those funky rules here at the Trop. 12th time that catwalk was hit this year, as Gregorius held up. Gregorius fouls that right back here. Now, how bizarre a play is that? Well, it's so strange that it fooled not only our cameramen, but the cameramen of the Rays home broadcast as well. Nobody caught Didi Gregorius catching that ball. That's how odd it was.
Well, trust us, it was a heck of a play.
That's right.
Hits here, ricochets down there. Didi Gregorius, Johnny on the spot.
A 2-2. Gregorius battling here against Smiley.
It's like some of the wiffle ball games I used to have in Conway Park back in the day. You know, it hits off of the second window, window pane over here. You got to play it. It's a double. Make up your own rules as you go along.
Was it Condell-stick or Conway?
Both. Depends on who I wanted to be. If I wanted to be Juan Marichal, it was Condell-stick Park. If I wanted to be Louis Tion, it was Conway Park.
I feel like you would be a filthy wiffle ball pitcher.
It's where I learned, yes.
Gregorius pops that up into foul territory. Longoria puts it away for the first out.
There's really nothing else you can do. I mean, that was the 12th time this season that a play like that's happened here at the Trop, where it hit the B ring catwalk, and it's in play. There's nothing you can do but play the ricochet. And for a time, Ryan, they talked about just doing the do-over.
Yeah.
Just do it over. But they decided better than just to play it that way.
Headley rips that to left. First hit of the game, first base runner for the Yankees.
Well, no do-over here, just solid contact right to the hole. As Headley, a couple of hits last night, certainly swinging the bat so much better, especially right-handed. The times he's had batting right-handed against left-handed pitching has been very productive.
All 11 hits in this series, singles for the Yankees, as Austin Romine taps that foul. The interesting circumstance, David, for that play that Gregorius made would be if you had a playoff game here and what looks like is going to be a fly out to left field becomes a bizarre triple or a run scoring hit.
So I'm not sure it's reasonable to expect everyone to do what Didi Gregorius did and catch it off the catwalk.
Yeah, that's not exactly a play you can practice, right? You get a coach with a fungo and try to launch him up the catwalks. And you see Didi looking at where it hit, but heads up play to stay with it. The middle infielders here and really other outfielders, you really have to follow the fly balls here every step of the way.
Yeah, Joe Espada's good with the fungo, but it might be an unreasonable ask. Romine fouls that off. Now, as just to put a bow on the whole catwalk discussion, but as you saw with the graphic of the rules we have, the bottom 2 rings, if it hits, it's a home run. It's the top 2 that get tricky. The 0-2. Popped him up. Pierce with room. 2 out. Now, you're not going to see Didi Gregorius catch this, but you can get an idea of just how hard it is to even see the ball when it gets up this high. I mean, trying to track the baseball at all at that height is incredibly difficult to do, and you could see Gardner started to dash in then once he saw that that ball was not going to make its way out to him. In the dirt, nice read by Headley, and he takes second base.
You can get a good look here, a secondary lead and no hesitation at all, as Ryan said. Headley easily in there.
Didi Gregorius is still telling the tale. And you know what? It's going to be up to him because there's no videotape anymore. So as far as we know, he caught that behind his back. He can spread it however he wants. Gardner drills that deep right. Goodbye, sir. Brett Gardner has gone deep. Seventh of the year for Gardner, and the Yankees take a 2-1 lead.
In the driver's seat, 2-0 fastball right there. Gardner looking for it, keys on it, does not miss it.
And the first extra base hit of this series for the Yankees, a much needed one. David told you the home run has been the issue for Drew Smyly this season. And once again victimized by it. 22nd he's allowed this year. The 0-2. Ellsbury loops that into foul ground and into the seats.
been a big part of Brett Gardner's game the last few years prior to this year was his added power, extra base hit power. Kind of somewhat been missing this year. A lot of the Yankee players, I guess you could go down the line and say, you know, the extra base hits, where are they? Good to see Gardner get a good swing on that one. Gardner had 45 extra base hits last year and 50 the previous year. That was just his 21st so far this year. Gardner 17 home runs in 2014 and 16 last year, so number 7, a welcome sight.
Kurt Casale, a little shaken up after that foul ball from Ellsbury. Ooh. Might have been a double bagger there. Ellsbury slams that right to Pierce. That'll end the inning, but Brett Gardner gets the Yankees on the board and in the lead. A big blast to right. 7th of the year for the Yankee left fielder. Brought to you by Toyota. RAV4 Hybrid is the official hybrid vehicle of the Yankees. We tweeted out, excluding the Chapman deal, what do you think has been the best trade in MLB over the last few days? And Enrico Palazzo tweeted, Melvin Upton Jr. to the Blue Jays, adding another good bat to an already potent lineup. Follow Yes Network and tweet us your responses using the hashtag YankeesRAV4 Hybrid to keep the conversation going. Enrico Palazzo tweeting it. That's nice. Of Naked Gun fame. Nathan Eovaldi now has a lead after the Brett Gardner 2-run homer. Tim Beckham getting the start against a right-hander. He has played mostly against lefties this year, platooning a little bit with Brad Miller at short. But today Miller DHs and Beckham plays short. Beckham, former first overall pick.
2008, yes, you know, and it's so tough to pick. You know, we talked about the trade deadline. Which prospects do you pick back? Draft. We just went through the draft. The Rays had a choice. They chose Beckham. Talented. He's here in the big leagues, but the guy right behind him, Buster Posey, it's a franchise changer, right? So how different it would be for the Rays had they chosen Buster Posey instead of Beckham.
3-time champion, MVP. Posey is.
We can play that game all night long.
Yeah,
right? About
yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but that's a pretty good one.
Here is that draft.
A couple other good names on that list as well.
Beckham slaps that to right. And that's pretty much hitting on Beckham, you would say, is the least accomplished of that group. Here's Kurt Casale. From New Canaan, Connecticut. Had 10 home runs in just 38 games last year. Two and 0.
You know, we've mentioned this before with Beckham on first base here. Eovaldi, one of the toughest right-handers to steal off of. Very quick move to first base. And also his delivery doesn't take up a lot of time getting the ball to home plate, giving Romine a shot. Just kind of another example of the athleticism of Nathan Eovaldi in order to have such quick feet and a quick move to first base. And it's obviously well documented, his velocity, being able to throw the ball 100 miles an hour.
Two-one, swing and a miss. David, how aware were you of pop times when you were on the hill? And kind of what was going to mean a base runner would steal on you and what wasn't?
Yeah, I mean, it was a different era. A lot more stolen bases in the 80s and early 90s. Nowadays, it's more about efficiency.
It's a tap foul.
There were times I would get flustered, you know, trying to hold Vince Coleman with the Cardinals, and Whitey Herzog was the manager. Those guys were trying to steal 100 bags a year, and it was almost like, go already, get to second base. It could be a real distraction for a pitcher, trying to speed up your delivery to home plate, vary your times, develop a decent pickoff move to keep them honest.
Saw the numbers with Eovaldi this year, outstanding. Only 4 have even attempted to steal on him. 2 of those were pickoffs.
That's another area of the game that's been greatly affected by the metrics. You know, Bill James, kind of the godfather of sabermetrics, used to say you need to have a 70% success rate in order to make it worth it. Otherwise, you're better off staying on first. Your rate of scoring is much higher rather than, you know, getting thrown out at second that many times.
And Eovaldi checks on Beckham.
I would venture to say most organizations have probably bumped that up a little bit to 75 or even 80%. Unless you have a between 70 and 80% success rate, you know, we're not going to let you go at will. We're going to put a stop sign on you.
Casale smashes that deep left. Gardner back, turning, it's gone. The long balls are flying out tonight in Tampa Bay. And the Rays have a 3-2 lead.
Well, if you're a pitcher, you know it. Especially a hanging slider like that. You can see the immediate reaction and the sound of the bat. Gardner with a bit of a decoy there, but no question, that's a 2-run shot off the bat of Casale.
Mile high pop-up. Mark Teixeira to make the catch. Well, David, we talked about it a lot yesterday. The Yankees' recent win streak was not about a sudden uptick of offense. Their offense has struggled this entire season, post All-Star break. Maybe some timely hits, but the overall production was actually down a little bit. It's been about their starting pitching. And yesterday, Nova did not continue what had been a recent positive trend for the rotation. And so far today, Nathan Eovaldi, who had been keeping it in the park, has now served up 2 home runs.
Well, there's no doubt every good streak the Yankees have had this year is centered around starting pitching.
That's fought off into shallow right, and Beltran will flag it down.
And of course, the Yankees bullpen so dominant all year long. So when they do get a lead late in the game, they're highly successful. So for an offense that's at the bottom of the league, when you think about the Yankees offense and extra base hits, they're 29th out of 30 major league teams in extra base hits. Only the Atlanta Braves have fewer. You know, we noted that graphic earlier about when they score 3 runs or more, their winning record is incredible, off the charts. Getting 3 runs has been trouble.
Yeah. Longoria lifts it to shallow center. Castro under it for the final out, but not before more damage done via the long ball. This time it's Curt Casale. Gardner tried to decoy, but that ball is gone. League leaders. Now we know the Yankees have struggled offensively this year, but since June 1st, Carlos Beltran, 2nd in the AL in batting. Didi Gregorius, 5th in the American League in hitting. And both of them have really had complete seasons. On the Audi scoreboard, the Rays with a 3-2 lead.
Carlos Beltran, been there since day one. What a great year he's had offensively. Didi Gregorius, his hot streak puts him on top shelf production. Really, if you go around the list, you know, and you kind of compare second baseman to second baseman, third baseman to third baseman, really there's There's 3 Yankees that stand out. Beltran at the top of the list, Gregorius, and actually Brian McCann too in the American League has the second best production of all the catchers. Only Salvador Perez has a higher OPS. But Didi Gregorius now in the upper echelon of shortstops.
Beltran tomahawks that deep to center. Kiermaier will get under it for the first out.
You know, just to kind of put that in perspective, I know I mentioned last half inning about the Yankees and extra base hits. To me, that's, doubles and homers. Boston Red Sox have 386 extra base hits this year. The Yankees, 265.
Wow.
Which is 29th in the major leagues. And speaking right on cue, Alex Rodriguez and his production last year to this year, along with Mark Teixeira, tells a story.
Rodriguez struck out his first at bat against Smiley. Teixeira waits on deck. Rodriguez turns on that, but a little too quick. The 0-2. Rodriguez down waving. It can't be easy to go so many days without playing. Then you're inserted in the cleanup spot. That's the reality of the situation, but certainly not the most fertile circumstance to succeed.
Yeah, and that's the kind of pitch you're most susceptible to. That breaking ball right over home plate ends up in the dirt. He's out in front of the fastball, and then on the strikeout you can see he commits too soon on a breaking ball that was way down and out of the strike zone.
The 1-1. That's drilled to left. Racing over to cut it off is Dickerson. Teixeira will hang on at first. A base hit for Mark Teixeira with 2 outs here in the 4th.
On the button. And Dickerson does a good job of cutting this off. That gets to the wall. Easily a double, obviously, for Teixeira, but you can see Teixeira's injuries this year to his knees. Going to take it easy right there, and rightly so.
Teixeira's started to swing it a little bit better over these last few games. Joe Girardi talked about liking his swings left-handed lately before the game. That one obviously right-handed.
You know, there's such a big part to Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez. The numbers they had last year compared to this year, and depending on which side of the equation or the argument you're on, sell. Should the Yankees sell or should they go for it? Clearly their record keeps them right in the middle of the wild card race, but unless you get Alex and Teixeira going, you're not going to get the production you need to make that run down the stretch to get to the playoffs.
Part of the reason why the Yankees entered this game a -28 in run differential, which rarely are you going to have a run differential like that in a record even over 500, never mind significantly over 500.
Yeah, you just need some pop in your lineup, and the Yankees' only chances with Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez getting it going somehow, some way. If that doesn't happen, then it's hard to see a path for the Yankees to make a run late.
Castro laces that fair down the left field line. Teixeira headed towards third. That is where he will stop as Castro's into second with a double. And the Yankees have set the table with 2 outs for Didi Gregorius.
Nice little hanging breaking ball, sits right there in his wheelhouse. The only key here is keeping it fair, and Castro does. pretty easy to hook that ball foul. So nice job by Castro. Sets up Didi Gregorius with a 2-out RBI opportunity here.
Jim Hickey will talk things over with Drew Smiley. The lefty-righty splits are pretty similar on Smiley this season anyway, but Didi Gregorius this year entering the game, leading the majors in batting against left-handed pitching, a .356 average coming into today. He popped out to third in his first at bat. And he looks at ball one. Yankees were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position last night. They're 1 for 1 so far tonight. Gregorius slams that to center, right at Kiermaier to end the inning. The Yankees threaten but do not score. They still trail by 1 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. In St. Pete, time for the Jeep Hitters scouting report on Corey Dickerson.
Yes, and right turn. All 15 home runs he's hit this year have come against right-handed pitching. Only 2 players in the majors have as many homers and none versus left-handed pitching. Miami's Justin Bour and St. Louis Brandon Moss, and top slugger really since 2013. He's 5th in slugging among all outfielders. Mike Trout leading that list. His slugging percentage .534. And the old school training, we talked about Condo Stick Park. He was a backyard kid with a broomstick and ping pong balls and played with his older brother just like I did in old school. He didn't play travel ball. He didn't get into the new school style of learning how to play. Just get a broomstick, go in the backyard, and play with your big brother.
On the Audi scoreboard, the Rays a 3-2 lead. We saw that teaching pay off last night with a long home run to right field. Off the end of the bat, cued to Eovaldi for the first out.
I mentioned that since 2013, Mike Trout, Giancarlo Stanton, Nelson Cruz, Bryce Harper, Corey Dickerson in terms of slugging percentage.
I don't think anyone would guess that he's in that class, in that list. Well, the Rays had thought their team this year would be built around great starting pitching, excellent defense, and then the home run, because they do have pop in this lineup. That is foul. But starting pitching scuffled. The defense was somewhat besieged by injuries. And so they've gotten some pop but it hasn't been enough to make up for where they have not lived up to expectations elsewhere. The Rays have 7 players in double figures. Only Seattle and St. Louis have more with 10 or more home runs. They each have 8 players. The 2-1, 3-1. Kevin Kiermaier on deck. And 3-1 to Pierce. Pierce, one of those 7 Rays, double figures in homers, with 10 of them on the season. The payoff, popped up, foul, and into the seats. Now, Joe Girardi actually used Pierce as an example before the game when he was talking about how odd it is or isn't for a player to go from not playing at all to being in the cleanup spot like Alex Rodriguez is today. Joe said, well, you do see that in some platoon situations. Steve Pierce is a guy who doesn't always play against right-handers, and then when he's in there, he is in the middle of the lineup.
He's paid his dues. Steve Pierce had really bounced around. Actually was a Yankee in 2012 for a bit. Played 12 games and 25 at-bats for the Yankees in 2012, but he's kind of got his game going in Baltimore with Buck Showalter, and then here in Tampa this year continues on. Had a career .777 OPS. And this year with Tampa Bay, a .918 OPS. So that'll get some people's attention. That's why his name's on the trade wire right now.
And he walks. First walk issued by Eovaldi. We'll send up Kevin Kiermaier. Grounded out to second in his first at bat. Strike one. Missed a little in, 1-1.
Besides Evan Longoria, who we talked about in last night's game, the face of the franchise, Kevin Kiermaier, one of the most popular players, an exciting player, matinee idol looks, great speed in center and that defensive ability.
Broke his hand on May 21st.
Clearly one of the most popular players here in Tampa. The reaction of the fans to him.
He's an electrifying defensive player. We've seen some of those full body length guys just screaming out into the gaps to take away extra base hits. And the Rays were 20-20 before he broke his hand. His injury coincided with their nosedive. 3-1 pitch from Eovaldi. Runner goes, swing and a miss. The throw down, scooped up by Gregorius. And Pierce is tagged out as Gregorius may have gotten spiked.
Second very athletic play coming from Didi Gregorius. As Romine's got a good pitch to handle up. It's on the button, but short hops, and you see a little swim move by Pierce there, and there is a spike. The look there. Boy, it's hard to see the original tag. Might have missed him on the first time, got him on the second go round, but a little trick move from Pierce here as he tries to stop and pull that foot back and swing around with the other one. Very unusual, and he does kind of clip Gregorius' elbow with his back spikes. And they are going to take another look and see if the tag was made or not. You can see right there he goes for him and he kind of stops, so I'm not sure if there's tag there on the heel or not.
Like he may have hit the heel, he may have hit the knee ever so slightly. The left heel or the right knee with the glove. It's very close.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one to overturn.
Now Steve Pierce does not have a stolen base on the season. I think that was perhaps a hit and run. Does he get him on the first heel? Let's see. Left heel. Maybe right there on the heel. And then boom, but he's already on the base. Let's take a look. This is going to be our best look. Bam. Does he hit him right there on the heel?
I mean, that, as I said, that's going to be hard to overturn and say that definitively there was not a tag. I mean, it was as close to being a tag as you can get. Did not see any daylight there. I mean, that's going to be interesting. Maybe they have different angles in New York, but I cannot see that one being overturned.
Now, had he been called safe on the field, he might be in the same boat where there's not enough evidence to overturn and call him out. But Steve Pierce was called out on the field. And usually on a 50-50 play, if the ball beats you by that much, you're going to be called out.
Yes.
And he is. Upon further review. So the call on the field stands is the official ruling, which means there wasn't the video confirmation that he was definitely tagged out, but not enough to overturn the call on the field.
Yes, the umpire's calls still matter, even with instant replay. So good point, Ryan. I mean, the original call still means a lot.
The 3-2, ball four. Second straight walk from Eovaldi. Now opponents are 1 for 5 against Nathan Eovaldi this year in stolen base attempts.
Two-out walks were always a big thing with Mel Stottlemyre, my former pitching coach, great Yankee pitcher and coach for years. You always would find the pitchers in Kangaroo Court for two-out walks. Case in point here, now a two-out walk and a 2-0 count, and Eovaldi's approaching 70 pitches here. The bottom of the fourth. So once again, the Yankee bullpen is starting to stir down there. You just sense it. All those guys are starting to stretch out down in the bullpen. It's coming.
Tonight's pitch count brought to you by the Acura Summer of Performance event. 20th pitch of the fourth coming for Eovaldi. Big swing, fouled back by Souza. We think the Yankees obviously would not have Chad Green after his multiple innings of work yesterday, but everybody else should be available. Luis Severino now has had a couple of days off. In the air to center. Ellsbury tracking. Puts it away for the final out. A couple of base runners, but no runs as we go to the fifth. Trade deadline countdown clock. 1 day, 20 hours, 26 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. And Bob and Jack will be in studio Monday and have all the latest and everything you need to know to recap the trade deadline. As you see the Rays leading the Yankees 3-2 on the Cadillac scoreboard. That'll be Monday on the pregame before the Yankees and the Mets.
The Washington Nationals have acquired Mark Melancon, so that takes another team off the list for Andrew Miller right now. I think the Nationals were the ones that really felt compelled to make a move. I mean, they're in first place, great shape. Jonathan Papelbon's been struggling lately. The last piece of the puzzle is maybe trying to shore up the end of the game for the Nats, and looks like Melancon's going to be that guy.
The 2-2. They, over the last few games, David, they've either had Jonathan Papelbon blow saves or start to blow them and have to be relieved by either Sean Kelly or Oliver Perez. Last night, again, they turned away from Papelbon to try and lock down a win against the Giants.
There's just too much of a negative vibe going on there with Papelbon, and going back to last season with the Bryce Harper incident. And he's been a lightning rod in the home games for the Nationals this year.
Headley loops that, foul ground, Pierce after it and cannot make the diving catch.
Another example of how much foul ground there is here at the Trop. And see, this is normally a pop-up that should be caught. So much room, doesn't even get close to the dugout. plenty of room still left there, and Pierce had to cover so much ground. I mean, that is a lot. Much more than most major league parks. Probably the one exception being Oakland. The other one that's sort of outdated and on its last legs.
The 3-2. Ball 4. Headley walks. Let's head back to the studio to Bob Lorenz. All right, Bob. Well, the Giants come out of the All-Star break after having the best record in baseball and really scuffled, but Eduardo Nunez helping their efforts this afternoon and evening. There's Austin Romine to third. Could be 2 and is. Now we're talking about the Nationals. Let's take a look at greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Last night, Giants down 3, bases loaded, nobody out. Brandon Crawford rips that to first, and it turns into a 3-3-5 triple play. The first in Major League history. Ryan Zimmerman able to snare that before it hit the turf. And Denard Span, the runner on third, had thought it hit the ground, so he took off for home. And it turned into a rally-busting triple play. Nothing like a triple play to get you out of a bases-loaded jam.
Yeah, Moore laid any trouble for the Nats and kind of dodged a bullet there and said, that's enough. Let's go get a reliever. Today, they got a new one.
Brett Gardner clubbed a 2-run homer his last at bat. It ended a string of 13 straight singles by the Yankees. Their last extra base hit before that was in the 4th inning Wednesday, a Brian McCann home run in Houston. Two and two. The 2-2. And a count full. Rays starting some action in their bullpen. Kevin Jepson throwing. 83 pitches so far for Smiley, protecting a 3-2 lead. And gets Gardner swinging to end the 5th. Smiley works around the leadoff walk. To the bottom of the frame we go. Presented by Mazda Driving Matters, and the Blue Jays now in first place in the AL East. They beat the Orioles earlier today, and now it is they who hold that lead in the division. First time in a while that the Orioles are looking up at someone. On the Cadillac scoreboard, the Rays a 3-2 lead on the Yankees. Grounded weakly. Headley charges, gloves, fires. Not in time. Beckham beats it out for the infield single.
Rob Thompson right on the phone, as is customary nowadays, and well, that's going to be a hard one to overturn as well. Usually Teixeira knows, and judging by Teixeira's immediate reaction, boy, that's close. You know, that's so close even Teixeira's not sure about it. But Mark's usually pretty good. He's a pretty good indicator. He'll come right up and point to the dugout. Another nice play by Headley. All you can do with that particular play, boy, looks safe from that end.
Yeah, it is tight. It looks like the Yankees are going to have this looked at. Let's see, another look. Ooh.
Back of the glove, foot hits the bag. Boy, that's a definitive angle there. That's got a good chance of being overturned.
Yeah, I think he's out.
I think the trick was Teixeira had to kind of turn his glove over and reach down. As the throw sails low, you see the tailing throw as Teixeira kind of reaches around with his glove. Boy, that's got a good chance of being overturned.
That's a great angle. And he is out. Didn't take long. The definitive angle indeed. And another score in the books for Brett Weber.
Beckham still doesn't believe it. You see him shaking his head, walking back, saying no way. But
you know, to the naked eye, David, he did look out. Those first few angles, but that one clear as day.
Yes.
And so the leadoff batter retired. Here's Curt Casali, a 2-run homer in the third that put Tampa Bay on top. And Tim Beckham, oh, couldn't believe it. He's campaigning for that 2-for-2 start to his day.
Leading off the inning here in the 5th as well. So it's a swing play right there for Nathan Eovaldi, who's now up to 74 pitches here coming.
Trying to make the couple of long balls he surrendered the only damage on the day. Three and one on Casali, who has power as displayed in his last at bat. So dangerous pitch here as Matt Andriese warms up in the Rays pen. Good fastball cutter, maybe even on the inside corner for a strike.
That's the thing with Eovaldi, you know, the pitching coaches love. He's so coachable. And another look overhead, just shaving the black on the inside corner, but he's thrown a ton of cutters tonight after just learning the pitch.
Casali lifts that down the right field line. Beltran over and near that wall. Good effort. No fruit at the end of that labor for the fan who flopped onto the mat. Now, a couple years ago, we remember David talked about it earlier. Carlos Beltran going into the wall. And that was sort of the start of the derailing of his season. That is a hard slam as he went into the wall.
Yeah, see, it's like a free safety over the middle, hitting the wide receiver unexpectedly.
Upending him.
I mean, that was full speed. He didn't see it coming. He shook it off pretty good, but obviously this time he's very aware of.
Yeah.
what's going on over there in right field. That's a lower wall too, so you can see it almost flipped him right over.
Did that fan dive on top of his pizza box as he tried to get that ball? Broken bat. Nub to first. Teixeira for the second out. Here's Logan Forsythe. Hit his 10th home run last night. Hit that to lead off the game against Ivan Nova.
To answer your question, yes, I think that fan did. And his glasses, too.
Yeah, there you go. The pizza was saved, so were the glasses. He just didn't get the ball. Almost looks like a Papa John's pie to me.
It needs some more runs for Papa John's, right?
That's right. That guy's 4 away from eating again. Forsythe not close on that cutter.
You know, we saw this last year with Nathan Eovaldi, and the minute he picked up the splitter and changed his grip, he started throwing the heck out of it. Threw a ton of them and had a lot of success. And here with the cutter, incorporated into his repertoire at a high rate.
Two, 1. Another one.
Yeah, it seems like 2 out of 3 pitches are cutters tonight from Eovaldi. You get a new toy, and he's really trying to feel it and work it in there.
Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. A splitter to finish things off for Eovaldi. Settling down here in the 5th. A 1-2-3 frame and a nasty split to end it. Joe Girardi Show for a look ahead to next week's Subway Series. Plus, catch an exclusive interview with injured prospect Greg Bird to check in on the status of his rehab. It all starts tomorrow after Yankees Extra Innings. Post-game coverage only on Yes. We heard Meredith update us a little bit earlier in the game on Greg Bird, as well as Brian Mitchell. Rays with a 3-2 lead. Top of the 6th inning. Drew Smiley still in to face Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury rolls it to first. One down. We're going to take a look back at the home run served up tonight, David.
You have to pay attention to where the catcher's setting up. Down and away. That's where I want it. Oops. Middle, maybe just slightly right of center. that ended up over the fence in center. And then, of course, another down and away design pitch that ended up and out over the plate in the middle, and Gardner loses it. And this one's a hanging slider. I threw a lot of those in my career. You don't get those back. You know right away when you hang it, they bang it.
And that home run from Kirk Casale, the difference right now is Carlos Beltran looks at strike one. Now it sounds like we're repeating ourselves with just plugging in different players, but it's true. Drew Smyly, another guy who's been mentioned in trade rumors, which is typical of Rays starters when they're out of the race. Something Chris Archer even talked about the other day, saying, look at the history of our organization. The starters do get dealt. They don't make it to free agency. Whether you want to talk about James Shields or Matt Garza or David Price or Edwin Jackson, there's a long list of starters.
It's been an off year for the entire rotation, but still very young, very talented. I don't know of anybody who wouldn't love to have Chris Archer on their staff.
Swing and a miss. Smyly elevates a fastball by Beltran.
And Smiley's a young left-hander who's still striking out a lot of batters, and his fastball is very deceptive at the top of the strike zone. And we saw Odorizzi last night do this. Smyly getting all those strikeouts. A lot of them are on the high fastball and then the curveball off of that pitch. And gets Beltran to go fishing upstairs.
There's Odorizzi, who was great last night.
Contrastingly, we haven't seen a lot from Eovaldi up there, right? And most of his pitches are all kind of on the same plane. The Yankees have talked about it, even back to spring training, trying to get Eovaldi to go up. Now he's got a new cutter tonight, and he's throwing a lot of them. But still, the top of the zone at 99 miles an hour is underutilized by Eovaldi, and continues to be underutilized.
0-1 on Rodriguez, who has struck out in his first two at-bats. In his first start since July 22nd. The 1-1. Ooh, just missed. 2-1. Brian McCann actually talked about that very thing, David, and how last night felt like every single fastball that Odorizzi threw was up in that top plane, and they just kept swinging through it.
He got just enough strikes at the top of the zone called that he could then go up the ladder another level, another notch. So all over the top of the strike zone and above it.
The 2-2. Good cut by Alex.
You mentioned it, Ryan. I mean, a lot of inconsistent playing time for Alex Rodriguez and thrown right into the cleanup spot. And almost trying to catch lightning in a bottle is Joe Girardi.
Instead, it's the third strikeout of the game for A-Rod. Smyly has dealt through 6. We go to the bottom of the frame. Inning after a 6 p.m. start on this Saturday evening. Nathan Eovaldi has surrendered 2 home runs. Yankees trail 3-2. Eovaldi gave up a home run to Brad Miller in the first. And then a 2-run shot to Kirk Casale in the third.
I'm personally a fan of day games, but I'll take the extra hour. The late great Arthur Richmond used to say an extra hour of toddy time after the game, so take what you can get in this game.
That's important. Team building.
Camaraderie.
That's right. Now it is a 1 o'clock start tomorrow, so it gives you the extra hour before the short turnaround too. That game will be on Pix 11. Miller fouls it back.
It's when Joe Torre, on a scheduling like this, would either have a strap it on and go day tomorrow with no BP meaning, or optional batting practice for the veteran guys. A lot of that was just because he wanted to show up late the next day too. So.
Joe needed his toddy time.
That's
too.
Right. You know he's going to have a good dinner out somewhere. Bottle of wine.
Yeah, that hour difference actually makes a big difference when it comes to kitchens being open or closed. Although I'm sure they all stay open for Joe. On the outside corner, strike 3. Hey fans, come out to Yankee Stadium on Friday, August 5th for the Yankees' first ever Star Wars night. There'll be a special Star Wars theme throughout the night and appearances by some of your favorite Star Wars characters. In addition, the first 18,000 guests in attendance will receive a special R2-D2 Yankees Nick cap. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. Eovaldi gets ahead with strike 1. Evan Longoria 0 for 2 on the day. An RBI double last night. Now, David, you were talking about last inning how quickly Nathan Eovaldi last year picked up the splitter, as we see action in the bullpen for the Yankees. And this year, how quickly he's seemingly picked up the cutter. Is it odd how much he's relied on those pitches after quickly adding them to his repertoire?
It's like a new toy. You can't wait to use it, but it shows how coachable he is and how athletic he is. And that's what everybody talks about with Nathan Eovaldi. Every pitching coach is dying to get their hands on this guy, you know, and Rothschild's done a good job. And you can see why they don't want to give up on him, as far as his name's kind of been rumored to be potentially traded or coveted by other teams. And so, you know, as frustrating as it is at times watching some of these guys, Pineda and Eovaldi, struggle, they really do have a knack for being able to be coached, and they can be worked with and changed.
Longoria flicks that to right. Beltran will put it away.
Nathan Eovaldi's a great guy, well liked in the clubhouse, hard worker, fantastic athlete. You know, the mystery is how can a guy with this kind of stuff give up so many hits, you know, historically? But he definitely is on the right track. It's trying to find the right mix of pitches. I still think it comes down to location and pitching up in the zone and inside, knocking more hitters off, owning the inside corner. But this cut fastball is encouraging, and the fact that he picks it up so quickly is a testament to his coachability and his athleticism.
Joe Girardi will often point to that athleticism and his conditioning. Talk about how his velocity will hold throughout a game because he works so hard on his body. A 97 right here with his 96th pitch, or 97th pitch. And even though he surrendered the long ball tonight, Nathan Eovaldi has given up just 3 hits.
He's got them right in the game. You know, a couple of mistakes notwithstanding. I think you got to give Brad Miller a little credit. I mean, he was 99 miles an hour. I mean, he didn't quite hit his location, but you don't expect your shortstop to take you deep to dead center. The 2-run shot was a hanging slider, and those happen.
Another 97-mile-an-hour heater. Eovaldi trying to finish strong. The 2-2 fouled off. Eovaldi threw 118 pitches his last start. Went 6 2/3, allowed just 2 runs and 1 against the Giants at Yankee Stadium. Here's the breakdown tonight. No real excessive innings. Pretty steady. Dickerson battling.
You saw Eovaldi try a couple of fastballs up, but they were too high in this zone, and then you see right there, got that one back down in a dangerous zone to a lefty here, especially Dickerson with some power. But there's an art to pitching up. It's not just throwing it way high. You got to be right on the edge at the top of the zone and just above. That's why they call it going up the ladder. 1 rung a time. Good cutter there inside on Dickerson there. That's a classic example of Eovaldi's new pitch right there, that 93-mile-an-hour cutter. This is very effective. Eating up Dickerson, just chasing him inside. The only thing he can do with that is get around it and foul it over the dugout. But it's a lot easier said than done to be able to exploit the upper part of the strike zone. Being able to throw strikes at the top of the zone and then go 1 rung at a time up the ladder.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Went up the ladder. Not with a fastball that time, a splitter, but was able to fan Dickerson. To the 7th we go. Brought to you in part by your Tri-Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2016 models. Beautiful shot here on the west coast of Florida. He burst upon the baseball scene with the Mets before addiction derailed his promising career. Wednesday on a revealing new center stage with Michael Kay. Dwight Doc Gooden opens up about his rise to fame and his fall from grace. Premieres Wednesday at 11 only on Yes, presented by your Tri-State Land Rover retailers. The Rays will make the Verizon call to the bullpen. Matt Andriese comes on. after 6 sharp innings from Drew Smyly. Andriese, who has made 8 starts, 9 relief appearances with Tampa Bay this year, and has given up far less than a hit per inning, 57 in his 70 innings work. Rays used 5 relievers last night, even though they had a 5-0 lead en route to a 5-1 win, and Odorizzi went 6 2/3. GMC scoreboard raised a 3-2 lead. Andriese was not used last night. One-two. Now the shift on against Teixeira as he's flipped to the left side of the batter's box. And we saw yesterday, like we saw in Houston, him go the other way. The 1-2. This time right into the shift. Beckham will throw out Teixeira for the first out. Anthony Swarzak warming for the Yankees. Castro doubled in the 4th. That was with 2 outs before Didi Gregorius flew out to end the inning. Strike 1.
I think the one thing the Yankees would love to see from Castro is just a little more patience, a little more being selective and getting better pitches to hit.
Laid off there, 2-1.
It's .294 on base percentage, at the bottom of the pack among all major league second basemen. Very similar to Stephen Drews from last year.
The 2-1. Came out of his shoes. 2-2.
Ahead in the count, gets a fastball. Trying to multitask as he blows a bubble and swings through a high fastball. Well, Michael Jordan used to stick his tongue out, so.
Castro lays off, full count. We used to see Derek Jeter do that occasionally with the multitasking, blowing bubbles on the field. Adam Jones does that often. I mean, they really stack the gum. It's endless. The 3-2 is fouled off. The 3-2, swing and a miss. Castro taken to a knee trying to chase, and he's retired.
Well, that's the reputation. You know, you don't have to throw strikes, and you see Andres does not. And Castro's very frustrated by swinging another pitch down and out of the zone.
There's Didi Gregorius. And a strike. We showed the note earlier, but Yankees 41 times this year with 2 runs or fewer. Only the Braves and Mets have more of those games. Right now stuck on 2. Gregorius rolls it to second. Inning over as Andres retires the Yankees 1-2-3. And we also look forward to Monday night. The battle for the Big Apple begins at Citi Field. And yes, has full coverage as the Yankees take on Yoenis Cespedes and the Mets. Subway Series coverage starts at 6 o'clock with Audi batting practice today and the Chevy pregame right here on Yes and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. The pitching matchups for the first 2 games of that series. CC Sabathia against Logan Verrett. And then Masahiro Tanaka facing Jacob deGrom in what should be a dandy. Masahiro is. New pitcher for the Yankees, Anthony Swarzak. Nathan Eovaldi's day is done. Gave up a couple of long balls, but otherwise was very effective. Strike one. GMC scoreboard with the Rays leading 3-2, courtesy of Kirk Casale's 2-run homer in the 3rd off of Eovaldi. Swarzak has given up a run in each of his last 2 appearances, although he did strike out the side in the inning he pitched in Houston.
Well, I think your assessment of Eovaldi was correct. You know, he's just the 8th time he's thrown a quality start this year. Had 7 of those and 18 games started. So a quality start for Eovaldi. He's got his team in the game. And if you think about it, if you want to make fun of the quality start stat, quality start being 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs or less, League average is about 48% of that happening this year. So it's become a pretty good indicator for starting pitchers. And when it first came out, it was belittled. 6 innings, 3 runs, that's a 4.50 ERA. We'll take it.
Grounded to Headley. Across the diamond in time. Hey, follow Yankees baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat apps. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Really is an amazing app, too.
Use it all the time, during the games as well.
Yeah.
Game Day is a great feature.
You have the premium. You can flip on any game.
To finish up that point about quality starts on the Yankees this year, Masahiro Tanaka has 13. Michael Pineda with 10. CC Sabathia at 9. And Nathan Eovaldi with his 8th quality start today.
It's not easy to win games when the offense is struggling the way the Yankees offense is and has. Asking your starters to be near perfect. And Swarzak trying to make sure it stays a 3-2 game. He's behind 3-1 on Kiermaier. A 3-1. Ripped to right and a base hit for Kiermaier. And he's going for 2. He will make it. Kevin Kiermaier never broke stride out of the box.
Oh, yes. No hesitation. I'm going to challenge Carlos Beltran. Turns on the Jets. The throw's just wide enough. And Kiermaier underneath on a head-first slide as Beltran holds back. Gets caught off guard. Beltran caught napping a bit there, and Kiermaier takes advantage with uber aggressive play. And oh, by the way, we're going to take another look at this.
Yankees will challenge. He tags the hand, but it looked like the right hand of Kiermaier might have been on the bag before Didi's glove got to him.
Kind of feel like Didi Gregorius got caught out of position a bit there as well, as out in front of the bag instead of staying on the bag. That's going to be hard to overturn, as it looks like Kiermaier is safe from that angle. You know, infielders, Ryan, are always taught to stay on the bag because the ball, obviously the thrown ball will travel quicker than you grabbing to catch the ball and reaching back for the tag. Takes much more time to do it that way. Gregorius found himself a little too far off the bag there as well. But Beltran caught napping and a little bit wide on the throw.
I think they both were taken completely off guard.
Kiermaier. Electric play.
We talk about how beloved he is here in Tampa Bay, and that's why. He's an athletic spark plug of a player. We are past the 2-minute mark on this review. Earlier this month in San Diego, the Yankees had some inordinately long reviews. This one looks like it's about to end, and Kiermaier is safe. Let's take a look at this normal speed.
Well, we've already talked about Kiermaier, but Beltran backs up, and then, by the way, clearly not expecting that play by Kiermaier. So credit Kiermaier, but you can never take anything for granted in this game, and especially if you know the scouting report and the aggressiveness of Kiermaier.
And Kiermaier clearly knew the scouting report on Beltran as well. Here's Souza Jr. Whoa. Not a pretty wave there from Souza. 0-1. Kiermaier takes off for third. The throw from Romine not in time. And Kiermaier is trying to do it all himself.
Well, Kiermaier is just bottled up energy. He cannot contain it. Trying to leave his imprint on this game, and no doubt about this one either. A great jump. Swarzak not really paying attention, and no replay needed there.
8th steal, infield in. Here with 1 out. And it doesn't matter. An RBI base hit for Souza Jr. And the Rays lead it 4-2. And Kevin Kiermaier creates that run with some incredible hustle.
Yes, instead of first and third with 1 out right here. Now the Rays lead 4-2 on Kiermaier's legs.
Runner goes. Fouled away by Beckham. Rays have been playing a lot of close games lately. They lost 4 straight 1-run games and won the final game against the Dodgers. Won yesterday against the Yankees. Now trying to make it a 3-game winning streak. Beckham rips that center field. Ellsbury back, looking up. It's gone. A 2-run homer for Tim Beckham, and the Rays have broken it open. And just like that, a 3-2 game is now a 6-2 deficit as Anthony Swarzak has struggled.
Yeah, you see that's a high slider. And Beckham with extension to dead central. Just his 5th home run on the year, but it's a boomer.
Ninth extra base hit of the series for the Rays. The Yankees with just 2. Teixeira will run out of room. And this is the 3rd straight appearance that Swarzak has allowed a run. Now the Yankee bullpen will start to get going. Adam Warren back up. We saw him warming in the 5th. That's cranked. Deep left. Gardner has room. And everything against Swarzak being rocked right now with solid contact.
Well, certainly plenty of options down in that bullpen for Joe Girardi. So opting to go with Swarzak when you have Severino ready, Warren ready. Very rarely will he bring Dellin Betances in when you're down in the game.
And it's going to be interesting to figure out that pecking order.
Seems like Joe Girardi's still trying to figure it out as well. But he's got some options, and he's got some big arms down there, including Severino. So showing confidence in Swarzak, and it kind of backfired on him.
Richard Blyer back up with Warren. He was up with him in the 5th as well. Driven to right. Beltran back. Gets under it and makes the catch on the track. But the damage is done. Anthony Swarzak allows 3 runs. And Kevin Kiermaier's hustle started it. By your local Nissan dealer. Nathan Eovaldi started, gave up a couple of homers, but otherwise limited damage over 6 innings. Drew Smyly was very good himself. Brett Gardner a 2-run homer, but the long ball has hurt the Yankees. Kurt Casali and now Tim Beckham each with 2-run homers. And as a result, on the Hyundai scoreboard, the Rays a 6-2 lead on the Yankees. Anthony Swarzak giving up 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. Chase Headley had a couple of hits last night. Was the only Yankee with a multi-hit game. Already a single and a walk tonight. To be deflating for Anthony Swarzak.
It's a tough life. The life of a major league reliever. It's so volatile. 1 or 2 blow-ups can skew your whole numbers for the entire year. Swarzak's pitched well at times for the Yankees, but the long ball is always a crusher for relievers, especially setup guys or late inning type relievers. Very, very difficult job. High turnover rate.
Headley drives that to right. Going back is Souza Jr. And it's gone. Long gone. Headley goes yard, his 10th of the year. And another outfielder trying to deke on a long ball near the wall.
Well, first and foremost, right down the pipe, and Headley knows it. He crushes it. No doubt. And you watch Souza here as he's probably watching the catwalk, but yeah, a little bit of a deke there at the end too, as he just continues to look towards the field like he's going to have it the whole way.
Right. We saw Brett Gardner do that in left earlier on a long home run from Kirk Casale. Maybe that's it, David. Maybe it's being aware that it could hit a catwalk.
You obviously have to stay with the ball the whole way here in the outfield, but looked like there was a little bit of practical jokester in him too on that one.
Oh, it worked a little bit on the play-by-play guy. Romine slams that to right center. Kiermaier racing back, leaping, and he makes the catch. Oh, what a grab from Kevin Kiermaier, and Romine can't believe it. And immediately Kiermaier turned to the scoreboard to watch his highlight.
Good jump, good timing, good leap. Little eyewash on the end. He's a showman. Another highlight reel play from Kevin Kiermaier. And of course, if you're on the mound, you got to love that.
And Austin Romine does not. Here's Brett Gardner's already gone deep. And looks at a strike.
Clearly, Kiermaier has left his mark on this game over the last inning and a half.
Started the Rays rally in the 7th with what looked like a line drive single to right. He never broke stride out of the box. Carlos Beltran wasn't expecting him to go for 2, nor was Didi Gregorius, and Kiermaier slid head first into second with an unexpected double and stole third. Through the Yankee infield in. Steven Souza Jr. singled to left. And then Tim Beckham followed it up with a 2-run homer, and that broke the game open. The 2-2 to Gardner. Did he go? No.
From the side. Right to the borderline. My whole theory is if the bat head breaks the plane of the front of the plate, then you've entered the strike zone with your bat head. Much like the NFL and the end zone rule and breaking the plane, I think it should be a swing. That's my suggestion to simplify the check swing rule.
Make it a little more scientific.
Break the plane, the front part of home plate. If your bat head breaks the plane, then that should be a swing in my book.
Now, last year, Kevin Kiermaier had a fantastic fantastic catch at Camden Yards. Not the only time we've seen a terrific catch against the wall. That is full extension.
Great timing. Head above the rim.
An appropriate reaction. And tonight, the replay brought to you by New York Presbyterian, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. Amazing things are happening here. Certainly a lower degree of difficulty tonight, but still an outstanding play. After racing into that triangular corner out there in right center. Matt Andriese has surrendered a homer. That deep loud out, and now a walk here in the 8th after he had a smooth 1-2-3 7th. Jacoby Ellsbury up. Yankees trying to rally. These games very important as they look to climb the standings. Joe Girardi said yesterday, our guys know our playoffs have already started. And we all know the looming potential implications for the Yankees' decisions in advance of the trade deadline, perhaps based in part on what they do in this series. You know, 1, grounded hard, could be 2. 4, 6, 3. And Jacoby Ellsbury was pointing back to home. That might have been catcher's interference. Ellsbury was jogging down the line, and the reason he was is because of catcher's interference. And Curt Casali is not happy.
You see Casali's reaction. Tells you all you need to know. It wasn't major contact, but enough. The umpire calls it right away. Ellsbury knows it as well.
10th time this year Jacoby Ellsbury has reached on catcher's interference. And now Beltran is the tying run. And ahead in the count 1-0. Right away running down the line. Jacoby Ellsbury didn't even bother because he knew. He was asked about it the other day. He said, I'm not trying to hit the catcher's glove. Most of the time it's good contact, so I'd rather have the contact than that. Beltran may not fare as well here. 4-6-3 ends the inning and the throw. Kevin Kiermaier has been electrifying tonight. A hustle double, a steal of third, and to start off this inning, a fantastic catch. Brought to you by Fios. Fios is not cable. We're wired differently. Visit getfios.com. Michael Pineda, been pitching well of late. On the hill for the Yanks, Blake Snell, who made his big league debut against the Yankees earlier this season, goes for Tampa Bay. Coverage begins 12:30 on Yes, and then the game will follow on Pix 11. Richard Blyer, the new Yankees pitcher, on in relief of Anthony Swarzak. Swarzak allowing 3 runs in the 7th. And Miller beats the shift. He immediately racing out of the box, but he is going to hang on at first after Ellsbury had a little trouble with him. And that's it for Richard Blyer. In to face the lefty Miller, and now out. Adam Warren will come on as the Yankees try and keep this a 6-3 game in the 8th. Is now available for Fios and Frontier customers. So if you can't catch the Yankees games on TV, now you can stream them live on your mobile device wherever you go. Just download the app and sign in with your subscriber information. Fox Sports Go is available for DirecTV, Optimum, Time Warner Cable, and now Fios and Frontier customers. Bottom of the 8th inning, and Adam Warren has come on with a runner on first. In relief of Richard Blyer. You see the numbers for Warren, this being his 2nd appearance since coming back to the Yankees. And he gets Longoria to hit a mile-high pop-up. Castro puts it away for the first out. On the Hyundai scoreboard, Yankees trailing 6-3. I was talking with Warren today, David, about whether or not he has a different mentality when he's coming in for 1 inning as opposed to 3, and if he's consciously conserving something in the tank when he knows he has to go a little bit longer. So we see the velocity could be a little different when we've seen him in his 7th inning role, and that's obviously common with relievers. But he said it's not a conscious decision to hold something back velocity-wise or arm-wise. Said the reason it happens, he believes, is just based on situation and adrenaline. You come in the 7th inning of a 1-run game, you're going to throw a little harder than when you know you're being stretched out in, say, you know, a 4-run game coming in relief of a starter in the 4th or 5th inning.
Yeah, that's a great point. That was based on my experience. That's the way it was for me too.
find out a little bit more about Warren from Meredith Marakovitz.
Well, one thing he's really working on right now is that slider, trying to get more depth to it, kind of like we've seen with him in the past. That's something he did not have when he was pitching for the Cubs. And he has said there is such a familiarity between him and Larry Rothschild. The day he got over here, Rothschild had already said he looked at some film. Sometimes pitching coaches like to see a throw live. A couple times before that, that wasn't necessary with these two. And in his first appearance with the Yankees, Rothschild said after that, I have a couple more mechanical adjustments you can make to try to tweak that slider a little bit more. So the familiarity there and the comfort level there is certainly going to help Adam Warren moving forward. He feels as though he is getting closer, and he'll continue to work on the mechanics of that slider.
It's a great point, Meredith. That relationship, you could just tell how comfortable Adam Warren is with Larry Rothschild. In fact, in Adam Warren's first day back, when Meredith and everyone asked him about Larry Rothschild, his face lit up immediately.
Well, Adam Warren never wanted to leave, and he's very happy to be back because he was kind of buried with the Cubs and not really knowing which way to turn. Back in AAA, is he going to be a starter, a reliever? No real clear path for him to have a defined role.
Driven to left, Gardner there for the second out.
There can be a light bulb effect for a pitcher like Adam Warren. The minute you put the uniform back on, you're back to being a Yankee. One or two good outings and your confidence immediately can come right back. It's a small sample size, his numbers with the Cubs this particular year, and up and down and starter reliever. The Yankees know what Adam Warren is and who he is, and they're happy to have him back.
David, at the time he was taken out of the rotation last year, he might have been their best starter right then.
He's a solid all-around guy and a really good pitcher, and that was part of that deal that made a lot of sense. Obviously, if you're in the sell crowd or the go for it crowd, we've heard a lot from Yankee fans both ways. Getting a major league piece back along with prospects really made that an interesting deal.
Ugly looking swing there from Pierce. Alex Colomé warming. Had to come on to get the save last night after the Yankees put a few hits together in the ninth. One and two on Pierce. Right side of the infield, very open for Pierce. Yankees shift him to pull. Runner goes, and Pierce took a big hack, fouled it straight back. Starlin Castro playing just to the right a second. But with Teixeira holding Miller on, and that is a huge hole. A 1-2 is high. And the count full on Pierce. Kevin Kiermaier whose electricity started the Rays' 3-run 7th, waits on deck. Here's a payoff from Warren. Swing and a miss. Nice off-speed delivery to Fan Pierce. Yankees trying to go to bat against Colomé. WB Mason post-game on Yes. Keep it here after the last out for highlights, analysis, and reaction from tonight's game. Plus, we'll check in with Joe Girardi on the manager's report. It's all coming up, and it's only on Yes. The Yankees down 3 in the top of the 9th, trying to avoid dropping this series to the Rays. A new left fielder, Brandon Guyer, replaces Dickerson, and Alex Colomé, the all-star closer, seeking his 24th save, facing Alex Rodriguez, who has struck out in each of his first 3 at-bats. The 1-0, swing and a miss. Rodriguez actually forced Colomé to enter the game last night with his single. A-Rod had a pinch hit single, and Mark Teixeira grounded a single through the left side. Got the Yankees their only run in a 5-1 loss. A-Rod fights that off foul down the right field line. Yankees sent the tying run to the plate in the form of Carlos Beltran in the 8th, but he grounded into a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. Rodriguez trying to start things here in the 9th. That won't do it. The golden sombrero for Rodriguez in his first start since July 22nd. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Not an easy spot for A-Rod, who knows that his only way to get more at-bats is by being productive in the limited ones that he has.
It's almost like the opposing pitchers can smell blood. You know, he was pitched very toughly tonight. And once he got down in the count, very good secondary pitches were thrown against him. You have confidence on the mound when you know that you got a guy you think that will chase. It's almost like, okay, I can get this guy. All I got to do is throw a slider out of the zone down. It's kind of the way it went for A-Rod tonight, in 4 strikeouts and 4 at-bats.
Teixeira has single in 3 trips to the plate. 96 miles an hour and well spotted by Colomé. The 2-2. Just missed. Count full.
Every now and then you'll get a makeup call. And a lot of movement on the glove, too, as well. Setting up inside, got to reach over the outside, maybe just off the black.
A 3-2. Swing and a miss, and Colomé has sat down the first 2 on strikes.
Well, no mystery. 96 miles an hour. Here it is. Hit it. Teixeira late.
So Starlin Castro, the Yankees' last hope, will hit with 3 on the left side of the diamond. They shift for Castro. Strike 1. Colomé dealing. Oh, 0-2. And the Yankees a strike away from dropping their 3rd straight game and dropping this series to the Rays. The final series before the trade deadline. Crowd of 25,883, mostly on their feet. Castro stays alive with a big swing. The 1-2 from Colomé. Ball game. Castro goes down looking. Colomé strikes out this side. The Yankees fall 6-3 and have dropped the first 2 of this 3-game set to Tampa Bay.
No messing around with Colomé, as he's got electric stuff. Mid-90s fastball, good slider. Pretty good center fielder behind him, too.
We'll be back to wrap things up in a moment as the Rays take it 6-3 at the Trop.